It started with a letter, thin and official-looking, that I nearly threw in the trash out of disbelief. The HOA claimed they had legally sold a massive portion of my land, 2,000 acres, without my knowledge or consent. According to them, the deeds had been transferred, the transactions recorded, and I was supposedly out of the loop. At first, I thought it was some kind of scam, a clerical error. But a quick trip to the county records office confirmed the shocking truth. Karen and her board had attempted the ultimate overreach, filing documents that claimed ownership over my property. My ranch, my land, the place my family had nurtured for generations, was now legally theirs, or so they thought. I took a deep breath and smiled. Years of preparation, legal expertise, and meticulous documentation had not been wasted. I had anticipated disputes like this, and I had planned contingencies that no overreaching HOA could anticipate. While Karen thought she had seized my land, she had inadvertently exposed herself to a countermeasure that would turn her own houses and community into collateral. I immediately contacted my attorney and began a series of filings that leveraged the very HOA's own deeds against them. Each home within their jurisdiction, every structure, lot, and common area was reviewed, and it became apparent that many had been built, sold, or maintained in violation of pre-existing county regulations and covenants. By strategically applying my knowledge of these violations, I initiated legal processes that allowed me to claim control over each house the HOA had used as leverage. In other words, their illegal sale of my land created the perfect opportunity for me to legally sell their homes. The first step was notifying the homeowners. Letters went out explaining the situation, that the HOA had overstepped authority, that deeds had been misrepresented, and that the county had already recognized my claims as valid. I structured the notifications carefully, providing full transparency and documentation, and clearly stating that any attempts to bypass this process would be considered fraudulent or void. Karen, of course, had no idea how rapidly her entire operation was unraveling. Within weeks, county officials began acknowledging the chain of violations, confirming my legal claims, and initiating the transfer of ownership rights. What had been her boardroom power grab had now turned into public exposure of every misstep the HOA had taken over decades. Homeowners initially panicked, but once the legal filings were reviewed, it became clear that their properties were protected and that the HOA's authority had been fully nullified. Karen's control evaporated almost overnight. Finally, I executed the sales. The HOA's houses, the very homes they had used to justify their authority over me, were legally sold or placed under lien, ensuring they could no longer interfere with my ranch or threaten my property rights. Karen tried to argue, to challenge, and even attempted to appeal, but each move only reinforced the clarity of the law and the strength of my strategy. The irony was delicious. The more she tried to assert control, the faster her holdings became vulnerable under the same rules she had ignored. By the end of the process, my 2,000 acres remained entirely mine, intact and fully under my authority. Karen and her board had lost every ounce of leverage they had tried to use, and their failed attempt to illegally sell my land became a cautionary tale throughout the county. Every house they had tried to manipulate was now legally mine to manage, and every homeowner knew exactly how overreach could backfire. Standing at the edge of my ranch, looking over the acres that had been so nearly stolen, I couldn't help but smile. Karen had learned the hard way that property rights, preparation, and legal foresight could turn the boldest theft into a total reversal, leaving the would-be thieves powerless and exposed. My land remained untouched, my rules unchallenged, and the lesson was written in every deed and every house reclaimed under the law.